4 o'clock. Shall we bring the meeting to order? Let me get your breath a minute. Staff confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Shall we have roll call?
Kevin Janaszek.
Paul Gebhardt.
Larry Pankratz.
Bruce Richardson.
Ashley Campbell.
Ann Zimmerman.
John Miller.
Okay. No guests today?
We do have a new staff member behind me, Manuela Bahati is our new admin for Parks and Recreation. I wanted to take some time to introduce her, so she'll be joining this meeting and from the future.
And her name is what again?
Manuela Bahati.
Okay.
She's right behind me. My man Travis, actually.
Okay. No guests, so no citizens forum. All in favor of the
I
agenda?
have to get a motion.
Yeah. I move we approve the
yeah.
agenda.
I second it.
Okay, now all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion for approval of minutes.
I'll move the
Second.
minute.
Got a second?
I got a second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Activity reports.
Thank you. As I normally try to do, I go over a handful of items. I did not get a chance to pre-highlight what I was going to talk about, so I was going to kind of wing it. But under parks, you may have noticed we've removed basketball courts from our 3 basketball courts that we have, our 4 basketball courts. We are having those basketball courts, backboards and rims, powder coated and repainted for during the winter, and we've scheduled with a contractor as well to resurface 3 of the 4 basketball courts at Sunset Park, Centennial Park, and Pacific Park. So once that project is done, we resurface that. We'll put those basketball standards and rims back on. Also, the second from the bottom item under parks, the fountain that has not worked in front of Kenwood Cove for several years, we removed that fountain. And we took it out and put concrete there in its place. So want to make sure the board was aware of that. Let's see. And then as I'm thinking about it, this report is from December, but the next month's report in February for January will probably have a lot of snow-related things on it. I just want to point that out now, just to prep you for next month, that especially Dennis's staff has been very involved in snow removal, and it's been tying up a lot of time relating to that, whether it be our own responsibilities, which would be parking lots related to recreation or within parks and recreation, sidewalks, accessibility around town, parks and rec responsible sidewalks or city responsible sidewalks. But also we're finding ourselves, Dennis is also assisting Public Works with streets, large snow pileups, ice removal, things like that. So it's been quite a city team effort, whether it be utilities, parks, streets, Public Works. So we've kind of been all in that.
Yeah, I think maybe where Kenwood Cove, those big piles of snow there, we could do a lottery, a fundraiser for Parks and Rec, and people could guess when those will actually melt.
Yeah, I haven't seen that myself. I knew it's
huge.
They had asked to use that area, and I imagine might be Mount Kenwood Cove,
Yeah,
or
there you go.
Kenwood Mountain.
or a
Could use it
future sledding
Skiing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Could use it for a couple things too. Could use it when it ice melts, but put it back into the pond.
To the
Or
pool.
having a deal that's where the kids can slide down.
I think we'll let it go down the storm sewer so we can collect that water. But yes, it has been, they are using that parking lot to put snow on, which has happened in other years when we get an excess accumulation of snow. In return, they do clean the parking lot. They do run the street sweeper in the spring. They do restripe that parking lot, so it's kind of a trade-off. So landscaping, putting things to bed, adding compost. We have our annual Christmas tree recycling sites at Jerry Ivy, Thomas, Lakewood, and Centennial Park Center Forestry, where we take those Christmas trees and chip them up and turn them into mulch for our use. Let's see. Now, Lakewood hosted the Audubon Christmas bird count. He's been doing that for every year that I've been here, at least. At Lakewood Park, they do a bird count. I asked him some questions about an item for Lakewood Discovery Center about repairing items inside the Discovery Center to make it more attractive to the public, update it, refresh it, relating to the insect bee display, weather information station. Brian Underwood has been adding several items to the Discovery Center and the inside, and trying to spruce that up. Let's see. Took some trips with seniors to the Botanica in Wichita for lights, very popular event. We have December is a month for special events. We have Mayor's Christmas Party and New Year's Eve, and you can see some of that information around that for special events. Kenwood Cove, our early bird pricing went into effect in December, and that's goes to the end of February. And that's generally around 15% off the normal price. Not sure if Mike's here. Mike, you want to talk about any of your golf stuff? You want me to highlight something?
We can go over a few highlights here, I think.
Sure, go for it. Mike Hargrave, our golf course pro.
Manager.
Yeah, pro shop.
So for 2024, the golf course rounds actually were up. We did more rounds than we did the previous year. Our revenue is actually up as well. Unfortunately, we had a number of expenses, kind of unforeseen, that really hit us very hard. And so we had a not so good year financially at the golf course. So we're looking at 2025 to rectify that and do a little bit better job. I have some things that we'll have a little more control over will be our part-time help. So we're going to try to monitor that a little bit closer. We went way over on part-time help. But as far as the overall impression of the golf course, what we hear from our customers, from the general public, has been extremely positive. I don't think the course has probably been in better shape. Again, we just hear very, very positive comments from the public about the experience they have at the golf course. One of our highlights also was new cart fleet this year. Very appreciative of that. It has GPS fencing on it. I was speaking with Larry about that a little bit earlier. That's simply a way to monitor out on the golf course where golfers go. There can be times where you have people who feel like it's okay to take a cart right on up to the edge of the green, and this does impact the grasses and whatnot at the golf course. And so with the geofencing, it will make the cart stop if you go where you shouldn't go. And very, very minor complaints from a few people. And a lot of that was mostly early on as we adjusted our geofences a little bit. Those satellites don't exactly stay in the exact spot up there in space. So we've had to make little minor adjustments from time to time. When somebody's on the cart path calls us and say, my cart's dead and I'm on the cart path. So we go out and address that and simply kind of adjust our geofences. But overall, golf course, again, the experience at the golf course is very good. And we look to tighten our belts a little bit for 2025 and hopefully have a financially better year. So with that, if anybody has questions or anything, I would be happy to try to answer them in any way.
I'll ask, was it mostly the help that put you over budget, or were there things that broke you had to repair?
You know, it was mostly, we staff a few more hours in trying to keep our carts in better shape now. That was one of our reasons for a few extra hours in trying to keep them cleaned up a little better. Our driving range can be an issue sometimes. If we leave range balls out on the range, it's pretty challenging. They seem to disappear during the night. And so we did staff an extra person in the evenings to help maintain getting those golf balls picked up more efficiently. And so I know some of those hours were added with regard to that. You know, when I say hours on our part-time help, it was more about dollars than it was maybe the hours. You know, most of our employees are maxed out as far as their hourly wage. Pro Shop's only $10.50. I think maintenance guys can pay $13, I believe. And so, you know, compared to other places in town, that's kind of on the lower end of the scale. And so there are times where we kind of fight having help. And so we do our best to try to maybe add a little bit of help because we don't get maybe the amount of work out of employees that we used to maybe a while back. And I think that's kind of a trend, at least what I've spoken to others in the golf business. Courses in our general area, Heston and Turkey Creek, Junction City, have all shared similar sentiments. So more about dollars than it was hours. The hours were similar to 2023. We had a few more hours. Everybody got paid pretty much to the max. Was one of the reasons that line item went way up. Other reasons for that was we had some irrigation well issues, not an irrigation system, but our wells that are dedicated to the golf course. They had some extensive repairs on that. Building, again, in the past we've kind of budgeted as a kind of a bare bones approach to it. In the future, we're going to do more to try to budget being proactive rather than reactive, and maybe start budgeting more on averages rather than just trying to keep it as low as possible and keep our fingers crossed. So again, I'm optimistic for 2025 that we'll do a much better job.
For the board's sake, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, the wells, there's 4 wells approximately that feed that pond, if you will, in front,
right.
And that's what serves your irrigation system.
Right. We'll fill that pond during the night and then irrigate during the night as well out of that pond. And you know, when we have wells go down, we can't fill the pond. It's, again, what also happens is then we have to request from the state to overuse other wells because we're allocated X number of gallons with each one of those wells. And so when one goes down, puts an undue strain on others. We do have a plan in place to address that, to get these wells in good shape and get them on more of a maintenance rotation. More to come on that. Hopefully, we will be able to make that happen. But the one well is fixed, and Ethan, our superintendent, made the comment that now that well is fixed, he said the output and the efficiency of how it pumps water now is unbelievably good. And so it would be great to have the other 3. We'll be able to reduce electricity costs because they'll be more efficient. Obviously, it's an investment, and we're appreciative if that happens for the golf course. But hopefully we can get those wells into a nice, even rotation where we're keeping them in great shape rather than reacting to problems that we might encounter.
Do most people play 9 or 18?
You know, the vast majority of rounds are 18 holes. I don't have a specific number on that, but I do know that most of them are 18-hole rounds.
Thank you very much. We
You're
appreciate that.
Thank you for your time.
I think up next is athletics and Fieldhouse, and I think Travis has some reports he'd like to share.
Yes, I won't touch too much on December
Just a few things. A lot of our leagues do start in December. Adult volleyball with 32 teams. We had 46 youth basketball teams as far as 3-on-3 goes. That's just amazing. And in case nobody knows what futsal is, it's soccer on the hard court. So it's a little different form of soccer, but we do offer that league, and we had 36 teams there. And they just finished up their postseason on that. Wanted to touch base, kind of reiterate what Jeff said. I kind of want to give Sarah some kudos on some of the programs that we're seeing, come back and be strong as far as the therapeutic rec. They meet once a week, and then the seniors, the trips are really, really, really popular. So, and then toddler time, we have that every Thursday morning. That's been a good one for us. So. And then Mayor's Christmas, and then the New Year's. So a lot of those recreational programs and community events starting to make a comeback. The main thing I wanted to touch on was I did, as promised, provided some 2014 numbers for you, an annual report. I did provide the league teams. I keep track of every league team that we do have in our program. And this year that totaled 491. Now, my goal, I'm not going to lie, my goal was 500, and I was very, very optimistic. And believe me, I went through these numbers and tried to find 9 more teams in there to make it 500, but that wasn't the case. That's the highest number that since I've been here. So I think we're getting back on the right track, and there's always room for improvement. But I did want to mention that and give kudos to our staff. Don't do everything right, but they have that care and they have passion, and we're heading in the right direction there. Is there any questions that you maybe had on league teams? Maybe more information you want me to provide, or I just felt this was pretty simple and had a notes or changes category to see what direction we're going and what changes that we're making to our programs.
I think one of the things people don't understand is there's also spectators at all these things too. So there's a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if there's no questions on the league teams, I'll move to outdoor. And there's a list of all the tournaments that we did provide. And again, we totaled 586 tournament teams outdoors. And again, that's we did touch 600 for a couple years back in when I was first here. So we're getting close. So pretty happy with those overall numbers. And does anybody have any questions with the tournaments themselves? And I try to analyze this and try to color code it and see where maybe our deficiencies are, or maybe we're with Pestinger Family Stadium now and Dean Evans. We are working on having more baseball representation up there. I think there's some possibilities of that competitive baseball aspect and having more league games or tournaments up there for that 15 and up group. So that's what we're working on literally right now.
So what do the colors mean?
Oh, that got cut off. I apologize. Oh. So you got pink, that's a softball, and then you got blue, which is baseball, and then a dark blue, which is more of your older or competitive divisions that would pertain to Dean Evans Stadium.
Thank you.
On the next page, kind of the same format as far as the field house goes. We had 33 events and totaling 631 teams for tournament teams for the field house. And I try to list the last couple years as a comparison, so just to see what trends we are seeing. And if my math is correct, for tournament teams, we had 1,217 total, with an estimated economic impact of over $10 million. I wanted to touch on that. I do provide this data to Visit Salina. Two things. There's specific tournaments that they do provide some resources for or help, okay? And with those specific tournaments, every coach fills out a sheet of how many players were on your team to how many overnight stays to all that stuff. So those economic impact numbers are pretty solid on those events. The other way of capturing it is there are formulas for youth basketball to youth volleyball based on the number of teams that you have. So we use a combination of those two things, specific data and formulas, to come up with an estimated economic impact. And Visit Salina does provide those numbers to me. Okay? So I didn't know if you had any questions on that, but those are the numbers they provided. The trends that I'm seeing at the field house, more community events, which is, well, more events, period, more activity. We had our best year ever in 2024, and I'm seeing more of those community events, and not just those events. I'm seeing them getting bigger, and they're outgrowing the lobby. And so we're having more community events in that north gym over there. It seems to be flexible space and more wide open space. So you might be seeing that towards the future.
Okay, and the colors on that?
Yeah, they got cut off too, didn't they? Okay, so the blue appears to be basketball. There's one gymnastics meet in there. That was a light orange. And then the pink was volleyball. And the purple was baseball or softball. And then the white was more of a community event type, type event.
Thank you.
So I know there's a lot of information in front of you, but any comments or anything that struck
I
your
don't see
eye?
Match Madness. I mean, that's all the community events.
It's in there.
Was it?
It's on there.
Where's it at?
March 21st.
It's white.
Oh, it's white. Oh, there you go.
GSCF.
It always throws me off GSCF. That just,
Sorry.
that's all right. You're doing what it's supposed to do. I just missed it.
There's a test.
You know, and on those local community events, I do know they produce some money, but it's more of a community, and it doesn't bring that new monies into town. So we left those zero. But anything that caught your eye, I'd be glad to listen to.
And just to wrap up the activity reports, last section is facilities maintenance. You can see an update from them relating to the bathroom remodels that the construction division have been doing. I tried to provide a definition of what carpet encapsulation is from the custodial division. We talked about that last month, and I learned something by reading that. And so I added the definition straight from the definition of what carpet encapsulation is. And then a lot of work orders. You can see examples of some of those work orders for the facility maintenance crew, 75 of those in the month of December. And if there's anything that, as I normally do, if there's anything you want me to touch on a little more, I can. But that was my kind of overview of the activity reports for the month of December.
He covered all that. Do we go on to like the baseball teams and stuff like that are coming up?
Be number 7. We're on number 7, new business.
New business.
Yeah.
So new business, last part of the whole packet is the blank annual reporting form for boards and commissions for the city of Salina. There was a separate piece of paper where I provided last year's 2023 report that we completed a year ago this day. This is a requirement for all boards and commissions. And to accomplish this, and it's due in February, it's due before our next meeting. So I wanted to kind of pick your brains, if you will, about accomplishments from 2024. and think about some goals for 2025. And some people, and I like to start with some of the goals from 2023 that were created for some of the goals that were for 2024, to give you an update about how how well we did with those. Review, update, and approve the Salina Parks and Recreation mission statement and values. We accomplished that. We are getting ready to replace the signage that we have in city buildings for Parks and Recreation with a new updated poster, if you will. Second one was complete Billbrook fence and other improvements, and we did that project, which was the fencing and other improvements. We accomplished that. It's kind of an ongoing thing. Billbrook is. We got some concrete work that we're have upcoming, and some another round of overseeding grass seed. Third item is staff get more involved with river renewal project to adequately project future expenditures and maintenance needs. And we have done that. Mr. Lamer serves on a board, or a group, if you will, that is looking at the aesthetics of what the design would come with, and representing Parks and Recreation relating to how we're going to maintain a future river and a future amenity along the river. Number 4, complete the fence around the perimeter of the terrain at Kenwood Park, and that is accomplished. Dennis accomplished that in 2024. Last one is complete the remaining items on the ADA transition plan. We did not complete all the items on the ADA transition plan. Several of them are done. Most of them are done. Signage is mostly done. We're in the midst of a plumbing project to change plumbing out. To whether we're raising up toilets or lowering fixtures, urinals, for example, replacing flush valves with automatic flushers, things like that. We're in the midst of doing that right now. We had some difficulty with getting plumbers to look at our project. It got delayed, but we're in the middle of that ADA transition plan and accomplishing those remaining items right now as we speak. So that's the kind of update of the goals. If you are so inclined, at least 4 of those goals could be the accomplishments for 2024. If you're so inclined as a board to recommend that can certainly happen, and we can staff that through to provide the accomplished goals as accomplishments for 2024, which leaves some goals for the future, goals for this year that I was inquiring with this board about. What are some goals that you may have? I can tell you some of the goals we have. Now I'm putting myself on the spot. We have a Jerry Ivy improvement project we'd like to accomplish. We have a Matson Field regrade that's gonna start once the weather clears of snow, and that's gonna be an important one. We have a dog park upcoming that we have a future action item with the City Commission in February. For that, I'm very excited about offering a second dog park to the community on the north end of town. So those are 3 things that are goals in my mind right now that I would recommend to the board that we include in goals for 2024. Any other goals that the board would wish to see for staff to accomplish for Parks and Recreation?
Is the remodeling of the bathrooms, is that part of the ADA?
Yes.
Advancements?
I wouldn't call it a remodel. There is a remodel portion for allowing for the partitions to be wider and differently arranged, if you will, because there wasn't enough adequate space that's going to be the hard one because it requires us knocking down cinder block and sometimes going from a bathroom that has two fixtures, two toilets or a toilet and a urinal, and going to one. So that is a pretty significant project, and that's kind of part and parcel with our bathroom remodel project that we do in-house that is going to take a few years to get through. So I think a year ago now I had some grand plans. I was rather ambitious about accomplishing all these items on the ADA transition plan, but it's going to be a little further out to finish every one item. But we do have a plan. The bathroom plan is a living, breathing document, whether it be Oakdale Park right now, Lakewood Park right now, Jerry Ivy Park at the end of this year, Sunset Park. So, which includes Carver Center, Friendship Center. So there is a plan associated with it, but my ambition to finish it in 2024 is most likely not going to happen.
I guess I wanted to ask, what else is on the ADA other than bathrooms?
There is, let's see, we have signage, which is to indicate where proper accessible seating would be for seating, for example, at ballparks. We have accomplished that at Dean Evans Stadium and Bill Burke Park. We did select a location where to put a sign on each field at Bill Burke Park. It's just under the rule signs, right by the rule signs of each field on each side of the backstop on each field. So there's a total of 16 signs to indicate where ADA seating would be at. And let's see, there's signage there's various signage to indicate where an accessible bathroom would be. For example, at the golf course, we have two sets of bathrooms. One of them are not accessible because they're very old. However, it complies with law to have a sign to point someone to an accessible bathroom. And we have another set of bathrooms that are accessible in the first tee area of the golf course. So that's some of that signage, and that's how we accomplish that plan, if you will. Other items are parking lot striping for handicap parking at Berkeley Family Recreational Area. We accomplished that. That's another item on the list. That was we as Public Works assisted with that and helped restripe and grind old parking lot lanes, if you will, at Berkeley Family and put in and painted new lines for us. We accomplished that. What I said was partitions, spacing inside partitions in bathrooms at various locations, Berkeley Family Recreational Area, the golf course, Lakewood Discovery Center, and Friendship Center and Carver Center. And that's on the list as well. So I think that's a good summary of that transition plan.
Thank you.
Any other goals that you would recommend for Parks and Recreation to accomplish in 2024?
Seems like some of these things on the projects updates list might be part of the goals.
Yeah, I mentioned three of them: Matson Field, Dog Park, Jerry Ivy.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there are other accomplishments that weren't on our plan. Well, what am I trying to say? Other accomplishments.
On the goals from last year.
Yeah, that weren't on the goals for last year. Did we do some things that you can think of? That it seems like we did several
I think
things.
passenger field needs to be included in that.
Okay, yeah.
And also, we did quite a bit of concrete pouring again. I mean, top of Jerry Ivy and, not Jerry Ivy, Indian Rock is all redone. And
You're right.
So,
We did tennis complex sidewalks, and we also did Indian Rock parking pads and a sidewalk. And then we actually finished that in 23, but it did open to the public in 24. So that was a March of 24, February or March of 24.
yeah, the opening was.
We had that grand opening event there at the park. Yeah.
Were you talking about pickleball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll include it in 24 accomplishments. We did have the grand opening event in 2024.
No one played on until 2024, so that's an accomplishment.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll say it was curing till then.
And then also, Jeff, on the river renewal, I remember you saying at one point that it sounds like that a lot of the responsibility on the Parks Department is going. It's still undetermined what the parks will be handling, because there's also other departments involved. Obviously,
Yeah.
utilities and probably street, and then who are the other departments that are there?
That kind of remains to be
Oh,
seen.
okay. Sure.
I think we're in the early stages right now of developing what the river area is going to look like. What kind of trash cans are we going to choose? What are the suggested look of the beds, landscaping beds? What do the benches going to look like? How wide is the trail? If you get to certain parts of the river, and I'm really speaking out of turn. I think Brett knows more about it than I do, but I think it'll be somewhat of a mostly parks responsibility. And I guess my intent of that was we're not going to be in charge of the water itself as far as the volume of it or the flowing of it, the hydraulics of it. We need to buy equipment to get into the river, which we don't have right now. But as Brett goes through this process of aesthetics and going on to the next step and the next step after that, I think those responsibilities will be determined.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. You start getting into who's responsible for the stuff under the water, who's responsible for above the water, who's responsible for the water itself, who's responsible for the slopes of the site. So you start getting into the nitty gritty. You start asking questions about who's responsible for what. I think if we don't look at it as a city, as all hands, as many hands as we could, I think it's not going to be as successful as it could be.
Sure.
So.
So if we turn all of the,
Nope.
turn all the goals into accomplishments except the one that wasn't done,
Correct.
then we can make more ADA progress, one of the goals.
Yep.
We also have Pessinger Field and the concrete things in our accomplishments.
Yep. I got it.
Oh, and the Jerry Ivy, Matson, and Parker dog park. Oh, what's that? Wait. No, yeah. Jerry Ivy, Matson, and dog park as goals.
So you want that seconded? Or is that a motion?
I move we do that.
I second that. There you go.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we got a motion.
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign for nay. Passed.
Thank you. I talked about a couple of these. I'm sorry. Do you want to move on to the next?
Yes,
I was getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Number 9, project status updates. Matson Field, as you're probably all aware, it's got a lot of snow outside. We are in the process of of doing all the contracting with the company that was selected from the bid for Matson Field. Once we get that contract signed and squared away, we'll start looking at timeline and scheduling. Hopefully by that time, some of this snow has gone away, but we don't know that. It's been cold enough that it stays. As I said before, in February, there's a governing body consideration for the dog park at Parker Park, which is near the animal shelter. Pestinger Family Stadium, the irrigation system that is outside the field for the berm outside of the fence and the outside of the foul lines on left and right fields. The irrigation system is there, and they're tying in the water supply with the anticipation that once the weather breaks, we will make that system live and testing out all the heads, and then we would proceed to seeding in March or April, so we can get seed established in that area. Restroom remodels, we continue to make progress on, as you saw in the activity reports, the progress about Oakdale Parks bathrooms and Lakewood Park bathrooms. Jerry Ivy Memorial Park improvements, we took that to City Commission. The estimates for what we had, estimates of the design from the design and engineering firm that we partnered with was 1.1 million. We got one bid back for this project, which was 1.8 million. So it was considerably more expensive than what we estimated it to be. So the decision was made by the City Commission to postpone that consideration until January 27th, which is so it's our next commission meeting. And started looking at it, kind of almost like a value engineering look at it, for one way to look at it, to try to strip it down a little bit to get the essentials of the three elements, which is the memorial, the splash pad, and the water wall, and see if we can reduce the price of this and work with the one bidder, the contractor that bid, to see if they're willing to willing to reduce some scope, so to get it to a price where maybe we can bring it back to the City Commission for their consideration. The other option is to rebid the project, and some feelings are maybe we went to bid at the wrong time of year. It was in December, and maybe it was holiday time. Maybe there was a lot of people that were not that didn't bid. But and plus we had a really narrow timeline. We were really trying to get that project done so we can have a splash pad at Jerry Ivy by June, end of June. And I think it may have scared some people away of such a fast timeline. Stretching out a timeline, if we were to rebid, and that's where the City Commission, if that's where the City Commission wants to go, stretching it out could get us more bidders and possibly a better price. So that's where we're at with that. And Glenifer Hill Park on January 27th as well, there is an action item about the City Commission to approve a request for proposals for someone to potentially purchase that parcel of land where the park once stood or is standing. And that's where we're at with those. If there's any other projects that I need to talk about, let me know.
Do you know how soon they would have playground equipment across the street at Indian Rock?
If assuming that the park does sell, the parcel of land sells, then I would use those funds to start initiating a process of getting quotes and bidding out, if you will, or doing a request for proposals for a playground that would meet that financial. I'm also assuming it's $175,000. That's a large assumption, but whatever the dollar amount is, if it sells, would be used then to purchase equipment at Indian Rock Park.
Got it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but I would not initiate that process until the city would have the funds in hand. Otherwise, I wouldn't be authorized to move forward. That was kind of how the contingency, that's how it was proposed to the city commission.
So did you hear the results from the study session on the fees? Did the city commission approve?
Well, we talked about that that's where the meeting prior to here was discussing that very topic. January 27th there is another item on the agenda for fees relating to baseball and the use of Dean Evans Stadium, Pessinger Family Stadium, and Bill Burke. If you recall, the resolution that was approved in 2024 had some fees already set in stone that were effective January 1st. Travis is already scheduling based on those fees. There were some fees that were due to be determined, which was mostly related to collegiate use for practice for both Dean Evans, Pessinger Field, and Bill Burke. And the part of that meeting was an attempt to, I wouldn't call it an attempt, but a discussion relating to that effort to resolve this before the end of the month at the January 27th meeting. If you haven't heard the news, the city manager, Mike Scragg, resigned, announced his resignation. His last day is February 27th, so that's on a list. February 7th, what did I say?
27.
February 7th, thank you. February 7th is his last day, and he is moving on to a community in Missouri. But there's a handful of items that he's trying to resolve before he departs, and that's one of those items. And I think that's all I have for project status updates, unless there's some other item that the board wishes me to discuss.
I can't think of anything.
Nope.
I guess that was my general announcement about Mike Scragg.
Yeah, your general announcement.
He said Mike Scragg was his only general announcement.
Oh, yeah, that was his general announcement.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to have vote down then. Okay, so that,
And I guess along that same
Yeah.
line of thinking is that the deputy city manager, the current deputy city manager, who is Jacob Wood, he would become the interim city manager on February 7th. And then they would go through a process which has not been established yet, to my knowledge, about how they would go about filling the city manager role. So, end of general announcements from staff's behalf, unless anybody else has anything.
okay, and you said you needed this here done by the next meeting?
Before the next meeting, I will complete it. And I think you made a recommendation to me based on the goals and objectives. I'm sorry, accomplishments and goals for 2025.
Yeah.
And I will put that together. And I have to get it done. Morgan, do you remember the deadline for that?
Normally the end of January.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. It's before the next meeting. So I will compile your comments from this meeting and put it into the accomplishments and goals, and I will add attendance, or we will add attendance from this past year, because attendance is part of this as well. And then I will publish that to the city clerk, but I can provide it in the next meeting as a completed copy, as an attachment, if that's what you would
And
desire.
I would assume if we think of something, we just shoot you an email.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can send it to me individually, not as a group,
Right.
just to avoid any potential
Yep.
Open Meeting Act
Yeah.
violations. But yeah, feel free to send them to me. Yeah, please do. Or Morgan. I think you get emails from me or her, so.
Yep.
Is that including like the attendance? How would you find out that?
We take attendance every meeting.
Yeah.
And so if someone doesn't come, we mark that off and keep track of attendance for every meeting.
This is for future reference then.
Yeah, we don't talk about attendance here, but we do include it as part of the submission to the city clerk's office. As you can see, the attachment in the packet did include attendance from 2023, and it will look similar to that.
Just that about takes care of that. Yeah, so after that, we'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.